Tom, as I was watching this, I was like looking at my Twitter DMs, and you go, I cannot believe what's going on here. Talk to me, sir. Have you ever seen anything like it?
No, I'm probably one of the few non-lawyers who've been in court and had to sit through court proceedings more than many other lawyers, most lawyers have. I've never seen anything like it. Mr. Wade kind of destroyed their case.
Mm.
And then to top it off, you have Miss Willis come in, try to take control and hijack the courtroom. We know with that ridiculous appearance in the beginning and then say, I'm going to testify and I demand these briefings, and then starting to attack the lawyer and show contempt for the whole process with convoluted testimony that I don't think anyone can make hide or hair of, other than the fact that she didn't help herself or provide any reason to think that what happened isn't the worst possible scenario for the people of America and Fulton County in Georgia, which is you had these prosecutors take what is a politicized case and make it worse by tying their pursuit of their romantic and personal and financial interest to it. Much of that concern has been confirmed by Mr. Wade. And, she comes on and she admits, they're going traveling all over the place. And it's pretty clear they began this relationship and then went on a spending spree that included trips all over the world. I mean, you travel more than I do, Benny, but I suspect you don't travel as much as they do in terms of taking vacations all over the world. It was insane to see that testimony, and it highlights that, however awful looking the way these folks are in terms of their demeanor, the real outrage is that they're charged with prosecuting a former president of the United States and a bunch of other innocents for daring to dispute their interpretation of the 2020 election and what the law allows there. So you've got this politicized prosecution, and it's confirmed today that they were using the prosecution to advance their romantic relationship. And, romantic is probably the wrong word because it seems to me Fani Willis doesn't think much of him, but that's another story. But my gosh, they should not only be disqualified, but I don't see how this case can proceed at all. Because, when you think about it, they're asking, bringing material to the grand jury, and it's like, well, are they doing this work to advance the public interest or just to keep money flowing into their relationship? And to me, the court should say, no, it's done. You're disqualified. Not only that, but this whole case is thrown out with prejudice.
So I would love for you to describe how that works for us, not a lawyer, not an attorney. Obviously, we have some of Judicial Watch's work that we're going to pop up here. The lawsuits that you filed against Fani Willis, for instance. What else is Fani Willis hiding? Well, we found out what they were hiding today. She was hiding a lot of contempt, like real vicious vitriol, like spitting venom at the prosecutors and at the judges, so much so, Tom, that the judge had to warn Fani Willis multiple times. I'm going to strike your entire testimony. Can you explain that for us? Like, what does that mean?
Well, it means her testimony, can't be used in her defense. I mean, that's essentially what would happen. It's rare. It's certainly rare when a judge talks to, the number one person of the office that appears before him every day. I mean, he's a judge that deals with her office virtually every day, not in this matter, but just in this matter, but all sorts of criminal matters. I think he worked for her at one point. So they have the judge to have to intervene here and really kind of softly. I've testified at a trial. I've testified to Congress. I mean, the idea that you would think you could get away with that in any setting like that, it shows a level of arrogance and contempt for the process that she's supposed to be upholding.
Yes.
I mean, would you trust her to prosecute anyone after this testimony?
No.
A jaywalking ticket, I'd be like, what's going on here? Maybe there's something up with the jaywalking tickets she's prosecuting. I joke there's probably never been a jaywalking prosecution, let alone anything more substantial than that in Fulton County recently. But I tell you, Does it get any worse?
So during
does it get any worse?
during one particular outrage, Tom, she screamed that she's not on trial. These guys are on trial for trying to steal an election, she yelled. Doesn't that automatically bias you in your case? Isn't that just blatant grounds for contempt for throwing the entire trial out?
Yeah, and I would argue that's an extrajudicial statement because, Trump's lawyer has asked that the case be thrown out in part because she made a speech playing the race card before that church a week or two ago, essentially alleging her critics were racist. And then she comes out and she makes another extrajudicial statement that certainly if I were the defense attorneys, I'm sure they're thinking of ways to use that in terms of highlighting how she's trying to taint the jury pool irredeemably. And then, I don't see how the court could even disqualify her and then pretend everything they've done to get these people prosecuted shouldn't be questioned. So this is why I'm thinking that he's got to take a step further. Now, on the other hand, if she is disqualified or the office, more importantly, her entire office is disqualified, the way I understand it works in Georgia is there's a state agency that would try to find another prosecution team from the various public prosecutors in Georgia. And, it's happened once before with her that she was disqualified and no one stepped up since then. So it could be the case dies on the vine if she's disqualified, because in my view, no prosecutor would bring a case like this who's ethical and trying to enforce and apply the law fairly.
Tom, we don't claim to have any superpower. We're simply alive and we notice things, and we're pattern recognition. And so as we've watched these trials, we've watched a lot of trials now in the Trump era, right? While Trump was president, we've been witness to a lot of trials. We've gone live for a lot of trials. I've never seen anything like this. Like in a moment here, Fani's going to grab a couple stacks of paper and binders of paper and start screaming at the judge and at the prosecutor. She's going to start yelling so much that the judge is going to say, "Hey, you got to take time out, lady. You need 5 minutes here. You need 5 minutes." You can tell by her body language that she's particularly perturbed. Royce, let's play that clip of her grabbing it up. What does this say to you, Tom? Again, you've sat in on probably hundreds, maybe thousands of trials. At least you've monitored thousands of trials in your work. What does this say to you when somebody behaves like this?
It's rather unusual. And it shows you that, she's got her team there, right? And when she showed up, she was so angry. And, it shows you why she's able to get away with what she's been able to get away with, because obviously her team is cowed. Because it seems to me a lawyer would have said, "Okay, Your Honor, my client obviously wants to testify, but I need to consult with her for a few minutes." So the lawyer wouldn't say this until she calms down. Because she went in there, guns a-blazing, and you point out how she started yelling. I mean, the only thing that kind of allowed her to keep on talking the way she did, and this is the scene you're talking about, where she's calling the lawyer a liar, is that the fact finder here is the judge, right? If there was a jury there, she would have been shut down. But the judge, maybe the judge saw Nathan Wade and just said, "Well, I'll let her talk because I know where this is going, and the evidence showing me that, she's not providing me a way to exonerate her. So we'll just let this play out, and it's going to be the way it's going to be because I've made my conclusions given the evidence to date."
What do you mean by that? I'm sorry. Can we dig down in that?
Well, the judge is, he's making a decision about the credibility of the witness, the demeanor, and you've had two witnesses prior to him, to her, one that contradicted the beginning of the relationship. Nathan Wade just blew up all of that and essentially admitted that the relationship began sooner, and it's an admission, in effect, that he lied to the court, and her office enabled that. She gets up and largely confirms it by suggesting that they began their relationship in 2020, and they were going out to dinner together back when he supposedly had cancer and only went to sterile environments. I'm not quite sure what that means, but it's obviously includes a restaurant now. And the discussion about cash and who paid for what, there's no doubt they were going on these trips because he hit the mother lode with getting this job in the office. As a private lawyer, it's, you can say, I charge $1,000 an hour and I took a pay cut to get this work. Well, you don't get jobs at $1,000 an hour that keep you employed for an entire year. It's a distinct job that begins and ends over usually a brief period of time. And so many lawyers are happy to get a pay cut for a job like he got, which is essentially helping run the most significant investigation in this prosecutor's office against former President Trump. So he hit pay dirt there, and he admits half his income, and now 60% of his income, was coming from this one operation, with this one contract he had, or series of contracts. And now we know in part why he was excited to be there, because he was able to go on trips, and part of the benefits of that contract was he was dating the woman responsible for the payments ultimately by hiring him. And in the end, she shared a little bit of the money he had to spend to maintain the relationship. So there's argument over cash and who paid what. It's irrelevant in my view. They went on trips together that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to take, but for this this contract that he had to prosecute Trump.
The day began with them bringing forward a witness saying that this relationship started in 2019. They're both lying. I know Fani Willis. I've seen them kissing, canoodling, cuddling, grabbing the big Fanny. This is all a lie. They've all lied. They've lied to the court. That's what they began with. They began with this witness. You just mentioned it. And then the two of them had to come on and like try and unwind everything, but it didn't go great. That's like a horrible way to start a trial. Is there any recovery here, Tom, based on your expertise?
No, not especially. There are more witnesses coming.
I
mean, the question is, what is going to be the damage? What is going to be the relief given for the defendants? How broad is it going to be? That to me is the mystery here, and that's going to be the interesting scenario. I think she's going to be disqualified. I think the office is going to be disqualified. I think they're going to be, the bar is going to be very interested if certainly Mr. Wade made false statements in court or before the court in that pleading. And I think they will be subject to civil and criminal investigation in the end. Now, whether the case gets thrown out in its entirety, I think that's the big if, and that's going to be tough. But we'll see.
So you're saying that the judge's decision here could disqualify her office entirely from this case? That's
right, and they may not be able to get another set of prosecutors to prosecute it. So it may be an effective death penalty for the case.
She also said that Nathan Wade said that women should just make a sandwich, and that that's her words, not mine. Okay, so for anyone listening, she says that the women should just make a sandwich, and that she's not going to emasculate a black guy. That's her words, not mine.
It's very strange. It's very strange.
They were both, Nathan Wade brought up intercourse a couple times, even when the petitioners weren't asking about it.
No, and he was taking everything weirdly too. Hey, Benny, I got to do my radio show. I got to take a break here.
All right. Okay. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Tom. God bless you. Wouldn't want to talk to anybody else about, sweaty Nathan Wade on the stand, but we say God bless you, Tom.
Thank you, sir. I'll talk to you. Bye-bye.
Godspeed.